that book?
It
What's
was
the,
printed
It's the
like-
same guy,
date?
it's the
What's
same
print
guy.
date? Excuse me.
The print date was
2010.
2010. This was written by Great West Engineering, the same ones doing the lagoons, by the same guy.
Okay.
And it was really written as a preliminary report for the water systems, which at this point was the wells. Okay, that was the main thing, was the wells, which has been put in. And the reason that was put in is because the DEQ mandated it. Okay, that's why it was a priority.
Right.
But the other priority in here, probably, I think the next one down the line, is that redundant main going across to A Street. That is absolutely a top priority in
Okay,
this report.
state that. Can you read that line?
I'll see if I can find it for you. I've got a few notes here.
But getting back to the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to
It'd be a while.
we are,
Well, I'm just saying that I think that in the budget, you should make some plans to pay the fees to get whatever it takes to get the grant and loan process going, because I think it's of utmost importance.
I don't think we can afford that. At this
Well,
well,
point.
what I'm looking at right now is if we do, say we apply for grants to do
Yeah.
this. Say that Great West thinks this redundant line is important.
I'm sure it is.
And it may be.
The hydrants are part of the deal, but this is more important than the hydrants, I think is the deal.
Right now, our water pressure is good. It really is. We have really good water pressure throughout the town. We test it every single week.
Yeah.
So, even if we applied for grants, which we can do, you have to find somebody to write a grant
Mhm.
first, a grant request.
Yep.
That's
Put
gonna
money aside
cost
for
you
that.
10 to 15% of your
Of
grant
the
monies.
grant.
Of the grant monies.
I'll ask Julie what she charges to, because she's got her master's over with, and she's, I know
It's a
for a
chunk of
fact.
Well,
change.
we're
I
looking,
know
we're
it's a chunk of
looking at a
change.
chunk of
Yeah,
change
she has
for
to
grant
pay
writers.
Yeah.
$200 a month for insurance.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
Okay.
that's going to be built right in to
Right.
start with.
right.
Then
Plus research, plus
there's
time, plus,
research
yeah,
time. It takes a lot.
it does. It
I went
takes a
through-
lot
I went
to,
through the grant business back in '89 and '90. When we built that new factory.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
so,
But we're looking at a lot of
Um,
costs. If we applied for a grant for, say, 300 or 400,000, maybe more than that, you're looking at feasibility studies, we're looking at engineering fees, we're looking at state engineering fees simply because that belongs to the state.
right. And
150 feet of that from one side up to the other
We're
belongs
looking
to
at
the
two
state
Things.
and the
State
railroad. State and railroad. They are not going to just jump in there and say, oh, okay, we're gonna do this for you. It's gonna take years and years for us to get anything done as far as progress on that. And if we wanna do those feasibility studies, we can
We have to
certainly
set
do that.
money
But we
aside.
are going to have to raise some money somewhere
Yeah.
to pay for those, because you're looking at close to $500,000 just to do all those studies. And I'm not just spouting this money out of my head. We are looking at major bucks. We looked at major bucks just to get our new sewer system.
We're
How
trying
much
to
did it
get-
cost for the engineering to put in the lagoon system?
$320,000 so far. Just for, it was 75,000 just to write the preliminary report.
Okay.
That was not included in the 400,000 that we've already paid them.
Well,
And we still are not done paying them.
I have a hunch part of the fees for the redundant system could be taken care of with this study, because, here, let me read this part here. This is
It's
redundant water main crossing. As a result of the analysis, it was determined that existing single main crossing Highway 310 potentially leaves the town at risk for catastrophic loss of system pressure due to lack of backup water main crossing between west and east sides of town. If the aging main under the highway were to fail, the east half of town would simply be receiving water from the well house and would not have adequate pressure. This is especially concerning due to the possibility of the vacuum effect the loss of pressure would create, and in the case of an emergency event. In other words, it would be pulling up all kinds of crud.
No,
and put it into the water system.
Don't say would be.
That's what he told me. It also says that,
It says possible throughout that, what you just read.
no, in other
Yeah, it
parts,
did.
no, in other parts of the book, it explains how it works.
Right, but what you're saying is possible.
And we went through all that, and we were
Yeah.
looking at all the reports and everything else, we did
It's
discuss
8 years
that.
old.
And that
We'll have
is
to
one of the
redo it all.
biggest reasons,
that?
that is one of the main reasons that we put in a new well.
Right.
If that
But you
study's
still don't
8
have
years
pressure
old,
with
they're
that
gonna
well.
have to
And
redo
I
it.
asked
Yes, we
the-
do.
No,
Yes, we
I asked the engineer if the changing the well changed that situation. He said no. It's still a problem.
It's
Possible.
still a problem, but
Possible problem.
that study's 8 years old, and they will not accept an 8-year-old study.
Well, it's probably true, but a lot of the work could be saved.
So it all
Okay,
has
guys,
to be
we gotta
redid.
get back to
Yep.
the budget.
Okay,
We can't
thanks for
be
your
here all
input.
All
night.
right.
Where were
What are
we?
you looking at now? We're looking at sewer charges, service charges. Yeah, we went through the,
Service charges.
went through the
Sewer,
water. The miscellaneous revenue is from an investment bond that we have, and that's what,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
for the sewer revenue,
Okay.
that $5,000. That's
Yeah.
a sewer bond,
Okay,
so that's
Why
what
can't
that
we
is.
just put it down there as a sewer bond instead of having it as miscellaneous revenue?
I agree.
We can do that.
Okay, let's move that.
And that
I
explains it.
agree. The man after my own heart.
Okay. Total sewer revenue projected for the year, 174.7. And that, will probably stay the same or be a little less depending on, interest that we get from the bond,
Okay.
so.
But it's gonna be close.
Yeah, and we're looking at the new services, which is gonna add to that, so it'll be right in that range.
Okay.
The garbage disposal fee, operating fees, at 2.5%, I raised it up to 48.2, simply because of that 2% increase in the contract. Miscellaneous revenue are the tags, garbage tags and whatnot, and we can use that, if you want me to change that, I can put garbage tags on there or something, or refuse tags, or.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
I'm with Dave on this miscellaneous.
Okay.
Okay. Revenues for total public works, and for the total revenue for the town,
Slightly up.
523, 130, 113.
Okay. And year-to-date is 527?
Yeah,
Well, then,
that's, year-to-date, that's, yeah,
okay.
that's in the revenue,
So,
so. But we're
Once
looking-
September
we're-
comes in, we'll adjust that number, right?
Well, once we approve the budget, we know that we're gonna get extra revenue coming in, but the budget figures will stay the same until the following year.
Okay.
That money will just go into the town coffers, so we'll know it's there. We just can't change the budget numbers. They're set in stone. So we're looking at allocations. Administration, town council, mayor, city court, we're gonna have to look at the city court. We can't do anything till the end of the year, so that's gonna have to just be a done deal right now. Till we
Okay.
find out at the end of the year if we want to have a city judge or if we wanna take it to the county or what.
Yep.
Okay? Administration, those are all pretty,
So I would assume, since we have in light of what is going on with the clerk, we're gonna have fees, probably bringing somebody in to carry some of that load until we make a change.
hopefully,
Is that gonna be a lot more than what you've got figured here, or,
I don't think so.
okay?
We can certainly add to it if you want, if you
Okay.
just wanna be on the safe side, we can add.
I think
Good.
we should.
What percentage are you looking at, about 25% of that figure?
20-25%, just to cover us.
Okay,
And that's in the wages?
in the salary.
Yeah. Because I can tell you right now, I want, what I put in the advertisement was that they have to be familiar or knowledgeable in Black Mountain software. That is the #1 priority. That is my big thing, and they have to be knowledgeable in accounts receivable and accounts payable and billing.
Okay,
You know, there's a lot of things that the clerk has to know. In fact, the clerk should know everything there is to know about the workings of the city, town, or whatever, because that office should be information central. And if they don't know anything, then they have no business being in that office. So they need to know the interworkings of town and city government.
we're getting a little off subject, but, let's try to be all together on what our expectations are and what we're gonna offer that person.
Right,
And that goes
Yeah.
under salary, insurance.
Correct.
yeah,
benefits, the
well,
whole ball.
And that's not something
So
that
we
we're
need
gonna
to
wait
all
till the
be-
last minute to do, we need to all be on board.
That's correct. And I think in the hiring process is
well, yeah, the
everybody
council,
needs to be
Right.
involved.
the council
Right.
is usually involved in the hiring process, and
We
I will
have to
set
be.
aside time aside for council members to
By
be,
law, it says we have to.
Yeah,
at the interviews.
but we wanna make sure that no promises are made, no, expectations are granted
Mhm.
until we, as a group, have made those decisions.
Right,
So we hire somebody early so Brenda can show them what's going on?
It's gonna be tough, she's only around for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They're closing quick and
Yeah.
she's leaving quicker.
they're gonna take possession within 30 days.
Really?
I think the 18th is what she said.
Well,
So-
I would suggest that you do a background check.
Oh,
We
yeah.
do background checks on everybody, Elton. I don't know why that subject keeps coming up, but we do background checks on everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
There's only, the state and federal laws say you cannot go back farther than 7 years. Look it up.
Okay, so, like I said, I was getting off topic and I apologize.
That's okay, no, that's okay, because
Not
we need
needed
to,
be.
and we will schedule interviews, so that the council members can be present when we do those,
So when's the ad hitting the paper?
this week. Thursday?
Thursday?
Which paper?
Tuesday. The
You-
paper comes out Tuesday.
You're not just putting it in Carbon County, right?
No, I also put it on the state, employment website. And we're going to post it in where
You
we
put
need
in
to
the
post it.
Gazette?
Pardon?
You put it in the Gazette?
Not yet. Do you wanna pay $670 for a week ad?
Running in
Steve.
Craigslist and those, they get out pretty good.
Do they?
Well, we have Indeed also, there's a,
Nobody reads the
Websites.
Carbon County News.
Huh?
This is a Gazette,
Sure they do.
$600?
Oh, they're spendy.
for a week,
A
Bill.
week?
1.5
Dave.
inch, or Dave, I'm sorry, 1.5 inch space.
Good lord.
Yeah.
Six-
Well,
$670
How about
bucks.
cutting it in half? You know, half that much, half that size.
Just every other word?
No, I mean, if you use up half the space, it's gonna save a lot of money.
So many things you gotta say, though. I
Well,
mean,
you
if
look
she
at,
wants
if you're looking at
Black
a
Mountain,
1 inch space, you're looking at the tip of my finger to this knuckle, that's 1 inch.
No, that's about 2. Really, that's more than an inch.
okay,
Okay, 2
Let's go.
inches, so, okay, so
Let's-
you're
let's
looking
keep
at this
going.
much, that's what you pay for,
Right.
1 inch.
Right.
It is a lot of money.
Okay, so let's go on, everything is
Signs,
pretty set in
okay.
stone, I will look at the salary and we'll add the extra 20%.
okay.
Health insurance, all that is the same, supplies are,
No,
Pretty-
we're gonna reconsider health insurance, I think, but here or there. That's- You've got a number in there and we're good.
okay, what do you want, what are you talking
Well,
about?
I'm thinking that, I don't know why that we have to pay 100% of that person's health insurance.
Then we will talk about that at,
Yeah.
at a planning board,
Right.
because I've thought about that too. Every other community, including Billings, Livingston, Bozeman, Missoula,
Pays
Their
a
employees
portion.
pay a percentage of their
Right.
health insurance, and
Right.
we're gonna have to start looking at that because we're paying out close to $12,000 a year just for health insurance. That's not including, death and disability, disability, it's not including, vision,
I pay part of mine.
dental, any of that. Yeah, we did, I always did too, I always paid part of mine. So,
So we leave the figure in as full and then discuss
Yeah.
the options
Yes.
as.
yes, and we're also going to have planning meetings to discuss employee policies and things like that. There's a lot of things we need
Yeah,
to
we need some
discuss.
planning meetings.
Legal services, legal contract is with Holt Freeman.
That's the 14,000?
Yes,
Okay.
I put in, it's actually, her contract is $1,000 a month, but I added extra 2,200 simply because we may need that.
Why was it 30,000 before?
Those figures were taken out of legal services, and I'm not sure why, but I think that they were inadvertently put into the wrong budget line for expense.
You think that encompasses more than one line?
I think it should not even have been taken out of legal services.
Okay.
And as soon as Strom and
questions
Associates
about it
get
last year
their,
and
report back on our
They wouldn't
AFR.
answer,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody did, they couldn't figure it out.
that's $15,000 that
That's
just.
one of the reasons I
poof.
wouldn't vote for the
Well,
budget.
no, it's not just poop, it should have gone into, most of that monies, those monies should have gone into, out of the grant, they should have come out of the grant monies. That's where the mistake was made.
Okay.
Okay, the audit is gonna cost us, we have to do an AFR, which is, Strom is doing at this point. He's gonna do that, we should get the report here within the next few weeks. That is mandatory, but we are also requested to do a state audit this year, and we have to have it done by the end of the year. I've already sent out, requests for bids from, different, CPAs. Firms, and, it's gonna cost us at least 10,000, and we might wanna put in an extra 1,000 or 2 in that, just in case.
Okay. Let's put 12,000 in there then.
So we're gonna add 2,000, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, your time, about
yeah, the rates that I got from the state for CPA firms to do the state audit was anywhere from 6,700 to 14,000. And they have a list on their site, and these are the CPAs they want you to use. So, we're just looking.
You have to pick one of those?
You have to get a hold of them, and I can do that legally, I can do that online or by phone, and I did both. I sent them emails, and I also phoned about 4 different CPA firms in Billings area.
Good.
And they will have to submit their bids by the 21st of September, so that we can get started on this audit. Has to be done by the end of the year.
Okay, let's make sure that we get at least 3. That's my lucky number.
Well, it's supposed to be my lucky number too, but you know what?
Okay.
So facilities, this is just for, buildings, our buildings and, things like that, maintenance and phones and whatnot. We don't put a lot of supplies as far as paint and things like that into the buildings. We
It's hard to
should,
run a
but,
city for $3,000. If we can do that for that, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Petty cash, I don't know why we have that in facilities, and I asked Brenda about that. I think we should raise that petty cash amount another $100 at least and put that in administration, because that's where it belongs.
Yeah, you can't buy much beer with $100.
Can't even buy coffee paper much for $100. So I wanna move this to administration. And plus 100, okay. And get that out of there. Public safety is pretty straightforward, contract with the Carbon County Sheriff's Office. Utilities and phone, the utilities and the phones I've kind of budgeted them out in some areas and less
So
in
you've spread it
others.
out?
I've spread out the cost,
Okay.
yeah, because before.
That looked astronomical.
Yeah, because before it was just in, dispatch is a given. We have to have dispatch
Right.
for the county, so that's a given. Rural fire is a given, that's public safety.
Why are we giving them 5,500?
That's a state allocation.
Oh, the state gives them.
The state sends that allocation to the
To
fire
us.
department, to the city. Yes, it's in our budget.
So to us, and then we dole
We
it out.
allocate it to them.
And what do they use it for? When do we ever
I'd like to know.
So,
When do we ever get a report from the fire department? That's the only thing that the state can find on any kind of reports.
Did you get this from Tom in Livingston?
No, I don't think from Audrey. She went to Helen and started looking.
How come Kelly Bentley does it?
I don't know.
Okay. It should be done by the,
But there's a question I had. and
it should be done by the, what's her name, Yedlika in Laurel. She is
The
the,
next page, there was a whole bunch of money put in. And I don't know anything about the fire department. I
Contributions
don't know how
for
many accounts
previous
they
years.
have.
by the fire board.
I mean, we put in $6,000. I was just curious where it kind of came from.
we were paid 6,000?
Well, the fire department was
Or-
reimbursed $6,000 for something.
For last year? Was that
Yeah.
for 17?
Mhm.
Yeah, look at it and see it. She said that's the only report that she can find for Fromberg on anything.
Reimbursement. What is this? Reimbursement from bank?
Yeah, I don't know. I would think maybe we ought
I
to,
don't,
at some meeting or work meeting, we maybe get.
Yeah. we can make copies of
Make
that
copies
for
of
you.
that, everybody can look at it, but I,
Surely,
we sure
with
need to
that
have.
5,500
fire department in here.
as being an expenditure, and you
She
said
did,
it's
'cause she's
coming
treasurer.
in and going out, do we show that coming in on a different line?
One,
Where,
No,
where would we show that coming in on the revenue
should
side?
that be something different?
that's the only other
she's
question
just-
I had because I
She's
couldn't
just
find it
writing
anywhere.
this is true and correct.
I don't
As
see
far
it
as
either.
revenue,
Just
coming
signing it,
in
that's
for the
standard.
rural fire and
Put your name down twice.
so I'm not
Say
really
you
sure.
did it once,
That's
and
one
say
thing
you
we're gonna have to
swear.
look into.
But
Did
you
it
did.
right.
Okay.
You say that those are funds that are
They
given
are
to
state
us from the
allocated,
state?
yeah, rural fire, they're allocated through the state
I'm
to
sure
the rural.
Brenda's got receipts from last year.
Where's your little thing there? I would like Dave to look at that. It's state allocated
for
through the
previous
rural
year's
fire
errors.
department, and it goes through Laurel. Yedlika is the, her name's not last name, that's her maiden name, not her married name.
So this is, you're thinking that this is the 5,000 that we're talking about?
Yeah,
Part of
And
it,
in
yeah.
reality, it's 73.92?
Well, they
That's
probably
their
added
balance.
their fundraising monies and stuff to that. They don't break it out, and I think that should be broken out on what they spend their money on and what they take in.
Contribution back for previous year's errors.
yeah. Otherwise, she went through the books and found,
A bunch of
trying to
errors.
reconcile them down there.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, so let's
Move right along.
make a note to add the revenue from the state on a line here if it's not included somewhere. Would that be in, where would that be? Where would we put that?
So rural fire, do you want,
Yeah, it has to come in someplace to
Right.
go out.
Right,
We didn't list it coming in, we just have a list of going out.
intergovernmental revenue? Could it go there?
Yes, it could.
Okay, so let's add a line.
the only thing is that we need to find out exactly.
How much comes in?
Mhm.
So we're passing it on, but we don't show getting it.
Yeah, we have to show the pass-through. Otherwise, it's gonna tweak the budget. 5,000 don't seem like a lot when you're dealing with these numbers, but then,
Yeah, see, and what they had left was 2852 at the end of the fiscal year, so I'm wondering what we spent $2,000 or $3,000 on for the fire department.
Well, where did we get the money to give to them?
I don't think it's in here, Bill.
It's not, and it's never been in previous budgets, it's always just been in as an expense, and we have never, ever been,
Never shown it as
never
revenue.
shown as revenue.
So it just cuts
Okay.
out $5,000 and takes it right off the top.
Yeah,
Gone.
well, that's 5,000 that somebody doesn't have to
Yeah.
explain.
Okay, so, but I will be down here Tuesday and we'll get all that information and I'll get all this to you by Friday.
Okay,
For the rural fire line in public safety, do we want to, now I have on here that with a question mark to add $4,000 to that, or do we want to add that to new hydrants and stuff in the water department?
I think that ought to be to the water.
we should add a line for that.
That should be to the
And
city fire
allocate
department,
funds.
not the rural.
Right,
We're
So-
not supporting the rural fire
Right.
department, the
Right.
city department.
So we
Yeah,
need to
it's
put
two
that
departments
in
in
the water department,
and I think we should,
under, put up. What do we want?
We don't have it.
I got a question. By the map, that, on the west side, there's hardly any hydrants up there. I mean,
Where?
There are hardly any hydrants in all
Well,
over
I know
town.
that, that's true, especially on A Street, same thing.
yeah,
Okay, but up on the top, up there, okay, that, the city property was expanded up there to include up there on, above the water tank, okay? But I think the fire hydrant, the last fire hydrant, according to the map,
it's in that cul-de-sac.
well, yeah, it's kind of there, you know what I mean, that last road up on the top,
Hilltop.
okay? Whatever's it called?
Hilltop.
Okay, I think there's a hydrant up there, but I think
Yes,
that's the
there
only
is.
one.
Is there? I missed that one when I was counting.
There's
So
one
there's
up on
14 on this side.
There should be one, I think there was one up on the corner of Hilltop, and then there's.
I mean on the other
one
side
in
of the road.
Benson.
On the, as far on the river, on the south side of the road,
river.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's the only one up there on the top.
on Hilltop, yeah.
Yeah, and so, if you got all that city property up there way up above that, I mean, it's not covered.
Well, it's city property, but right now it's sagebrush.
Well, there is a house up there.
I don't think that house is in the city, is it?
I think it is.
Is it?
I think it is. I think
Not
it
the
was
one way
added.
on top of the hill.
No, I don't
is
think
it?
so.
No, I mean, maybe it's just
If
got
that,
city
if that
water.
caught fire, it wouldn't be 10 seconds before that was a county issue anyway.
Well, maybe, but a hydrant would sure make a difference.
There is a hydrant up there, I thought you said.
Not up there where that house is at. There's a house.
Well,
up
if it's
if that
above the
house
water
isn't
tank,
in the
then-
city, that's a moot point, right?
Well, that real issue is, yeah, is it on city property?
Right.
I think it is, but
Well,
I'm not absolutely certain.
You're speculating.
Well, I'm just saying it's been added on, and if you look at the map, there's a whole lot of stuff way up above that street.
But none of that's been annexed into the town.
Well, according to the map it has, in that book. They have the city property up there,
In what book? In that PER?
yeah.
This is a city property.
So, getting back to the budget here.
Yeah.
So are we gonna add a line for,
We will add, as soon as I find out where that money, if the city actually received it, or if the fire department received it, or what it is, then we
Okay.
will. And we may never have gotten the allocation for that money but we just have it in our budget.
It's an interesting point.
So we'll have to find out.
So there again, we don't have we don't have a line here for city fire, do we?
We don't, we should. Because we should start allocating funds to
The city
maintain
fire
it.
department.
Yeah, because we should not have to support rural
Rural,
fire.
right.
No,
So whatever, if they're giving us money for our city fire department, it's going into a rural fire department fund,
And they're not
Yeah.
spending it where we want them to.
yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think they ought to report in where the money goes, every single, whatever.
Yeah.
But they need to have it allocated to them too, without having to, in other words, they need to have a budget that they can.
Well, we're
Yeah.
not saying it's not allocated, we're just saying we're showing it going out. On
But
the
not
budget
coming
line.
in.
But
Not coming
we
in.
can't find where it comes in.
Right,
And we don't know,
And it's supposed to be state money that passes through us.
well, you'd think it would be a separate check than from another state department,
Well,
wouldn't you?
unless they bury it into one of the other funds they give us.
Yeah, we need
It could be.
clarification.
Maybe they're not paying it at all.
They might not be.
That's
Who knows?
possible.
Well, and whether or not it's, I was under the impression, from the past mayor that this was a state allocated fund that was.
Pass through. A pass through.
Yeah,
From us to
it
them.
passed through the town front to the fire department, not to rural fire, but if it is
City.
going to rural fire, then we need to change that.
Yeah.
Exactly,
We need to support our town fire department,
yeah.
but it's actually not a town fire department. They are members of the rural fire department. It's not a town fire
It's
department.
not
Well,
a proper
I know.
fire.
Audrey was saying that it's actually kind of both in the small towns, they have.
Well, yeah, they handle in town also, but if they're getting money from the rural fire department, then it should go through the rural fire department and not the town, and we should be allocating funds for the city itself and not.
Right. They should be two separate lines.
Right,
They
yeah,
really should.
exactly.
And we should allocate funds into our city fire line
Right,
to do
And-
upgrades, to do
well, the thing with
maintenance, to do.
right, and
Whatever
see,
we
and,
need to do.
and if you do that, then they're going to have to account for those funds from the city. What they spend it on, they're gonna have to give us
a budget.
invoices and,
Yeah.
budget and things like that.
Mhm.
And they might not wanna do that, maybe that's why we don't do that.
But that's why.
Well,
it
that
needs to be
shouldn't
done.
stop us from doing what we need to do.
Needs
And
to
that
be
is,
done.
Find out
that
where the
is
money
adding
is.
a line
Mm-hmm.
for maintenance, upkeep, enlarging the infrastructure of the
The town.
town.
Yeah.
For fire prevention.
Fire
I'm
protection.
in full agreement, with, you know, you're obviously have a lot of, concern in that regard, and believe me, you're not the only one.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Right.
sure
You know,
there's plenty of
so,
us.